The early 2000s were a chaotic time for the video game industry. The internet was exploding, making online multiplayer more accessible than ever. Publishers like EA, Activision, and Rockstar were embracing multi-platform releases across PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, paving the way for similar studios to follow suit. Meanwhile, Microsoft had just entered the home console race with the Xbox in 2001. The PlayStation 2 was well on its way to becoming the best-selling console of all time, and Nintendo was kind of struggling. Their GameCube, despite being a solid system, was falling behind in market share, but all hope was not lost. Just before E3 2005, Nintendo announced their next big console, one that wouldn't compete directly with PlayStation or Xbox. It would go on to become one of their most popular systems ever. I'm talking about the Wii.
It is different. Better technology is good, but technology is not enough. I want you to know that Nintendo is working on our next system, and that system will create a gaming revolution.
Now, the Wii wasn't a powerhouse. Compared to its competitors, its specs were laughable, but Nintendo wasn't aiming for power. They were targeting a demographic that had been largely overlooked: the casual gamer. They wanted to appeal to a universal audience, new gamers looking for their first console and old who hadn't touched a game since Duck Hunt. The Wii's appeal extended far beyond the usual 14 to 25-year-old male demographic that had long dominated gaming culture. And while Nintendo had always leaned into its family-friendly identity, the GameCube and even the GBA had tried to shift towards a more serious market. Hence why their ads from that era looked like they were directed by someone who had just discovered Freud and cocaine at the same time. Their advertising depicts a world where adults don't exist, ferrets climb into your pants, and sex is awesome. But with the Wii, Nintendo fully embraced its softer side, and that approach extended into every facet of their marketing: TV ads, print campaigns, and crucially, their in-store displays. Which brings us to today's topic, the Nintendo 2008 POP, or Point of Purchase, Reference Guide. Nintendo went hard on in-store displays. They had always been a leader in this area. Just look at their iconic World of Nintendo retail campaign from the 90s. But with the Wii and DS, they took it to a whole other level. These weren't just about showcasing products. They were about creating an environment, one that made it nearly impossible for shoppers to leave a store without at least considering a Nintendo purchase. If the Wii era had one unspoken motto, it was, "You did not come here for a Wii, but you're going to leave with one." Let's start small with the humble shelf dangler. These little cardboard flaps were placed under games, subtly drawing attention to specific titles. They were simple, effective, and let's be honest, kind of cute. It's the retail equivalent of a tiny child tugging at your sleeve, like, hey, you should buy WarioWare Twisted. But son, we can't buy WarioWare Twisted. We need to save money for groceries. Mommy, why do you have the same voice as me? I don't know, son. From a marketing perspective, they were incredibly cost-effective, cheap to produce, but highly visible, maximizing attention with minimal effort. Then we move on to the posters, static posters, and counter cards. Classic tools designed to grab attention without being too intrusive. The psychology here is simple. Repetition breeds familiarity, and familiarity breeds trust. By strategically placing these posters throughout the store, Nintendo ensured that even if you weren't consciously thinking about buying a Wii, your brain was. There's a reason you somehow always end up craving McDonald's after passing 5 billboards in a row. But if you needed something a little more eye-catching, Nintendo had display boxes in various sizes, from petite to deluxe medium, which, despite the fancy name, was just a medium-sized box with inlaid designs to give it depth and also make it pop. Get it? Pop? Like point of purchase displays? The thing I'm talking about? I love you guys. Then came the standees, the titans of in-store marketing. You couldn't walk into a retailer without seeing a giant smiling Mario and Luigi, or even scarier, a Geist standee, inviting you to engage in what was basically a year-long guerrilla marketing campaign at your local Target. But Nintendo did not stop there. They had interactive kiosks, where you could try out Wii games, aka where a group of kids whose parents wouldn't buy them a Wii would play Brawl for 3 hours after school. And then there were pre-packs, essentially pre-arranged retail displays shipped to stores to make setup effortless. All of these displays, big and small, were meticulously planned. Nintendo knew exactly where to place them to maximize impulse buys. End caps, those massive attention-grabbing shelf takeovers, were reserved for Best Buy and Meijer, where foot traffic and browsing times were higher. Floor graphics, like the Nintendog's paw prints, were reserved for more kid-friendly locations like Toys R Us and Game Crazy. This was very obviously an attempt to lure some unsuspecting child without one of those leash backpacks to the DS section, levitating like they'd been sniffing Looney Tunes pie. In other words, each placement was intentional, tailored to how different types of shoppers engaged with retail spaces. Put a shelf dangler under a casual-friendly title like Wii Play, and suddenly a non-gamer mom grabbing batteries is now buying a Wiimote bundle. This wasn't just marketing, it was behavioral science at work. Nintendo's in-store strategy for the Wii made their products look very appealing, sure, but more importantly, it made them impossible to ignore. These point-of-purchase displays weren't passive. They were designed to subtly manipulate your shopping behavior in a way that felt natural or even inevitable, and it worked. The Wii sold over 100 million units, the DS over 150 million. Of course, this wasn't solely just due to Nintendo's expertly crafted ad campaigns and display programs. However, an understated part of their success did come from how they positioned these consoles in physical retail spaces, ensuring that whether you were a seasoned gamer or someone who had never touched a controller, you'd at least consider buying one. Even now, as digital storefronts dominate, there's something to be said about the art of in-store marketing. The retail landscape has changed, but the psychology behind impulse buys and consumer engagement hasn't. And if nothing else, I think we can all agree, we would like to play.
We would like to play.
Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy, maybe consider subscribing or liking or even leaving a comment perchance. But it's not really a big deal. I mean, if you don't want to, it's totally chill. It's fine. You know what? Just forget I even asked. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for the support, and yeah, bye-bye.